It's good. I feel like the more foam your coffee has, the better it is. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Coffee Corner. I hope you guys have your favorite warm cup of coffee or whatever it is that you enjoy and you're ready for today's conversation. I want to talk about something today that is deeply personal to me and a little bit of a touchy subject. It is something that has been a theme throughout my life and continues to show up in new and different ways. And it's something that I continue to have to fight through, push through, and navigate through, and that is mental health. I also want to talk about self worth along with mental health and how there is a fear that many of us may carry. And I think that fear may be, just maybe, that we are not enough. And I think that fear comes into play when we're experiencing all these different feelings. We're experiencing anxiety, we're experiencing depression, and there are so many stigmas around these things. We've never really gotten comfortable, 100% comfortable in talking about it. A lot of us um, have been made to feel like the conversations around these. I know personally for me, growing up, it was kind of like, oh, all you need to do is talk to an elder. All you need to do is go to church. You'll be fine. And I think there's this dismissive energy around struggling with mental health issues. So I think a lot of people are made to feel like because they have these experiences that it is not normal and it's brushed off. And so they feel like I'm not like everybody else and maybe I'm not enough. And so I want to talk about navigating it a little bit because I personally think since the moment I've started my platform, I've always tried to be candid and open about my mental health journey over the years. I think the reality of my journey is I have been in some really, really dark spaces, really dark. I've really had seasons and situations that I've experienced where I didn't know how I was going to pull myself out of those experiences or situations. Moments where everything felt very heavy, very intense, incredibly dark, where waking up and pushing through felt like an everyday battle. And I've talked about this on previous episodes of the Living Divinely podcast. If you're open to it, you can go back and listen to previous episodes here on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can go back and replay some previous episodes. But despite everything feeling like a battle, like I've always worked to push through, one of the things that inspired me to want to talk about this today was the other day I came across a video that made me equally happy and equally proud because Vic Mensa was being very open and candid about his mental health journey. I want to say it was on TikTok. I don't know where he originally posted the video, but somehow it ended up on Twitter. And he was just talking about how his mental health journey was really him, like trying to find ways to combat his mind. Like he was deep, deep in these dark, depressive states. And that resulted in him being prescribed every depression medication under the sun, everything that you can be prescribed by a doctor, trying holistic methods and spiritual methods, things like ayahuasca and toad's venom. These are all things that I've heard of, by the way. And he just talked about being in a state of peace at this present moment and how he now turns to meditation and more intentional practices to combat his mind. And it made me smile because one, the conversations are important, especially throughout the Black community, and two, I think it's just always important that we are acknowledging our struggles and acknowledging the things that we have been through, acknowledging the fact that experiencing these things, going through them, is not always something that is easy, but you work to get through them. You do what you can to get through them. And I've never personally taken medication, and I've struggled with mental health since middle school. And although, it's not something that I am against, it's just I've always been afraid of the side effects and how it would impact me. So I've done everything outside of that. But despite me never being open to taking medication, I've done the work. I have worked thoroughly to get myself to a space where I don't feel like my mind has control over me or my actions. And I've been present in therapy. I've shown up in therapy over the years. I've cried through many, many sessions. I've cried through journaling sessions. Tears have been my release. I've leaned into prayer, into solitude, into complete silence and isolation. I've done everything. I've done the work. I've challenged myself. I've overcome so many experiences and so many dark moments and periods. And even in this process of overcoming or combating, there's still situations that arise and that continue to challenge me. And I will say my biggest outlet has been, and I think will always be and continue to be, my creativity. When I first started my platform, I knew that I just went into it like I just want to put it out there. I need a way to put my feelings into word form outside of a journal. And I think subconsciously I was hoping and praying that someone would read it. And someday someone would affirm my feelings and my thoughts, even if it was just one person. I did not go into this with the anticipation that my platform would reach people on a global level, but at some point it did. And I think that I won't even say I think, I know that I am so grateful for that because it has helped me build a community to know that I am not navigating through this journey alone and that there are so many others who have like experiences and rely on community the most to carry them through and bring them out of those dark spaces. My biggest outlet will always be creating. I have to create in order to stay grounded. I have to create in order to remain sane. And when it feels intense, when it feels uncomfortable, I revert to my creativity. I remember having an experience where this was years ago. A young lady reached out to me and was just like, "Hey, I was in the airport, sitting in the airport." She never told me why she was in the airport, but she was like, "I was sitting in the airport and I came across something that you had written." And I sat and read, and I didn't just read it once, I read it multiple times. And coming across what you have written shifted my perspective because I was at a point where I was very suicidal. And it was something that you wrote that saved me from that space. And that's when I knew, like, oh, this is why you started. Even if you went into it with a whole different mindset and idea, you being able to openly express what you're going through is reshaping the lives and minds of other people, just as you are actively working to reshape your mind. And that's when I knew, like, I refuse to give up on my creativity. I refuse to give up on myself. The journey has not been easy, but realistically, when is healing ever, like, healing is rarely ever easy. Lately, the past, I don't know, like 6 to 8 months, I've found myself in another difficult season, another hard season that has really taken a toll on me emotionally and mentally. I have been dealing with a situation that has been very mentally and emotionally taxing. I don't think I've done my best to navigate this situation and prioritize having healthy emotional regulation. I think I've just been going through it. It's what I'm dealing with is a natural part of life. It's a part of my life. It is part of my reality. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is just a difficult phase in this point of the process. And then as time started to go on and I see it getting more complicating and more difficult, I'm like, wait a minute. Is it going to get better? Because you keep telling yourself that it's going to get better. And actually, ma'am, it's literally getting worse. I have found it incredibly difficult to just function and do daily activities, just feeling a sense of imbalance. And I just talked about this on my Instagram stories how when your nervous system is shot and you're dysregulated, like it's very difficult to function. Like you're anxious about everything. You can't do the things that you are normally used to doing because you're trying to find a sense of control internally when everything is out of control internally and externally. And I can't talk about the situation too much in detail, but I honestly hate that I've had to experience this and experience an environment that has really caused me to regress on my mental health journey. Actually, let me retract that because I won't even say that because I'm not giving anything the power to say that you made me regress and you made me backtrack. I'm not giving anything that much power, but I will say that it has taken me back to a space that is very familiar that I don't agree with. And it has forced me to confront how much I let other people's actions or perceptions define my value. It's also forced me to confront how much I let other people's perceptions define my progress and my joy. Thankfully, I have my little family, and that has restored some balance in my life and kept me grounded. But I want to be I have always been very intentional that I can't depend on my man or my child to ground me. Like that is not their responsibility. My responsibility is to show up and be full and be present and be my whole self. It is not their responsibility to make me happy or change things for me. But they have been a saving grace. Not me sounding like Drew talking about Dennis. For my Real Housewives of Atlanta fans. Yeah, another topic for another day. But anyways, but yeah, there has been so many moments of where I'm just like trying to figure it out, trying to navigate everything. But the one question that has continued to surface, regardless of whatever it is it's been coming up throughout the last several months. And that question is one that I feel like a lot of us carry when we're experiencing these dark periods. And it's just, am I enough? And I've been replaying that question over and over in my mind. I recently said something out loud that I think I've been holding in for so many years, a really, really long time. And I finally said that I'm scared that I am not good enough to maintain and to be successful and to do all of this on my own. Saying that And being honest about that truth cracks something open within me, because while I have been able to carry so much and accomplish so much and create a life that reflects the best parts of who I am, there has still been this little voice that creeps in during the challenging moments, during the quiet moments, and even the best of moments. And that little voice, it whispers when I am exhausted. It shows up when I am thinking about what my next move is going to be. It questions everything when things do not go as planned. And now I'm realizing that that fear did not start with me. It was a fear that was planted in me. Um, and it was planted from instability. And I think that instability started somewhere in my childhood. And then it continued to develop and snowball because I had to survive too soon. And then it went from never truly really feeling emotionally secure at a young age and having to spend most of my life creating that for myself. And then at times being young and just navigating through life and feeling like, oh, I have to work, I have to do this, and lacking a sense of financial responsibility, which then resulted in a lack of financial security. And then having people, like full grown adults around me, who could help but refused to help because they felt like it was instilling some level of responsibility in me. But what it really taught me was I couldn't really depend on others. And then so it forced me in this space to where it's forced me into hyper independence. And this fear, it just continued to creep up. And it's kind of that fear that disguises itself as logic. The fear that tells you to shrink, the fear that tells you to play it safe, not to ask for too much, not to dream too big, not to self advocate. It convinces you that failure is inevitable and that support is conditional. And I just I know some of you out there have to be able to relate to this. And I think for me, I've been learning to separate the fear from facts. It is an ever evolving battle that I'm working through. As I've been learning to separate the facts from the fears, what I'm embracing and accepting is that just because the fear exists, it doesn't make it valid. It doesn't mean that it's true. Because the reality is, we are more than enough. You are more than enough and always have been. You've always been worthy, even when you were overlooked, even when you were doubted, even when people had a perception about you that wasn't true, even when those perceptions caused you to doubt yourself. The fact that you're even aware, the fact that whenever you're going through a dark period and you can be aware of the patterns that arise, the fears that creep in, means that you're already working to rewrite them. You're no longer accepting that struggle is your defeat. You're learning to trust yourself. That awareness, that's a superpower. That's transformation. That is a seed of liberation. I am on this journey and I'm constantly learning to trust myself, constantly reminding myself of my worth. I'm learning that my worth isn't measured by how hard I work, how much I earn, or how many people approve of my choices. Yes, I have been working my ass off and working full time. Yes, I've been building a brand. Yes, I've been standing in my authenticity, but I've also been carrying the weight of invisible wounds, things that I don't talk about, ones that tell me I have to prove my value over and over and over again. Sometimes, despite everything that I've done in my lifetime, and I've done a lot, I've done a lot in my 36 years. Despite everything that I've accomplished, I still feel like I'm not doing enough and that I am not being enough. But then I have to reel it in, bring it on in, and remind myself that the fact that I keep showing up, the fact that I keep trying, the fact that I keep pushing, the fact that I keep choosing healing, the fact that I keep trying a different path and navigating what's not working to figure out what's going to work, that I keep loving, that I keep creating, that I keep nurturing, that I keep my heart open, that I don't turn cold. I keep growing despite the fear. I remind myself all the time that that is proof that I'm already way more than enough. I don't have to become anything else to be worthy. I just have to keep remembering who I am without the noise or the fear or the shame or any expectations, especially external expectations. If you've ever sat in this same fear, the fear of wondering if you're enough, if you'll be okay, if you'll have the power and the ability and the strength to figure it out on your own, if you'll make it through whatever it is that you're going through, let this be your reminder. You already have everything you need inside of you to rise, to rebuild and redefine your life on your terms. This next chapter doesn't begin or start with certainty. It starts with belief, a belief in yourself, an unwavering belief in yourself, an unwavering belief in your resilience and your ability to rise. And that belief is something that nobody on this earth, regardless of whatever power they think they have over you, whatever it is, nobody can take that shit from you. So let's talk about some of the things that I am doing right now in this moment, things that I have been doing over the years that have been helping me. And maybe it is something that can support you and help you and something that you need as well. My focus has always been shifting from survival mode to abundance mode. And instead of expecting the worst, I'm leaning to and learning to expect peace, regardless of what the situation is. I'm reminding myself daily that I am safe, I am supported, and abundance is my birthright. I'm also working to redefine what safety looks like for me. I realize now that as a child, I didn't have the emotional safety that I needed. But now I get to build that. I get to continue to build on that. And I've been building on it for years. I always ask myself, what does safety feel like today? Can I create it through boundaries or simply just protecting my energy, self preservation? What does that look like for me? And I continue to build on that. I'm also actively working and continuously working to build and rebuild my confidence and my ability to succeed. I've built so much from nothing. I've taught myself so much. I've been through this phase of just like learning, unlearning, relearning my brand, my business, this space. So I have to keep level setting with myself and looking back like look at what you've done. Why do you continue to let fear whisper that you are not enough? The reality is I've always been able to figure this shit out and I always will be able to. There is nothing that God has not carried me through and will continue to carry me. It's that simple. I think I'm also learning to actively let people in. I've held on to the idea that I have to do everything alone because like I talked about earlier, it's just this level of hyper independence that was forced onto me because you go into survival mode at a young age because of these standards that people think that they're practicing teaching you responsibility, but really what it's teaching you is that you don't have anybody to depend on when you should. And I think I've held on to this idea for so long that I have to do everything and I need to do everything. And when I'm doing everything, that it has to be done alone. That asking for help is a weakness, or asking for help is going to set me back because I don't necessarily know by asking for help I'm going to receive what I need. But trust is a muscle and it has to be exercised. And I want to continue to strengthen that muscle, even if it means me being vulnerable. I'm also actively rewiring my relationship with money. I think through all of this, there's this deep rooted feeling of like survival of the fittest. And I always tell myself, money just flows to me. What I need flows to me. And I don't think I'm in a space where I personally don't feel like I'm in a space where I have to stress out about this. But I always remind myself to replace any thoughts or feelings or fears about as I'm building this, like, what if it doesn't work? And I always have to remind myself and replace money is hard to come by with money just flows to me easily. What I'm building and what I'm creating, I create value. And I'm telling myself that this value that I add to any space and any environment, I am compensated generously for that. I'm compensated generously just for showing up and being me and being myself. And I'm done playing on that fear that what I'm building won't ever be enough. That's dead. This isn't something that is toxic positivity. It's literally intentional reprogramming. It's me choosing to heal my nervous system. It's inner child healing, and it's me choosing freedom over fear. The other night when I was journaling, I journaled something that I want to share with you all. And I want to share and level set and utilize this to close out today's episode. I was going through this period of like self-doubt, questioning, going through fear, and letting these fears creep in and challenge me. And I was just like, I don't want to be like this no more. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to have to continue to go through the process of combating my fears. I want to be in a space to where I'm so rooted and grounded in my personal beliefs that there is nothing that can challenge that. And I think that right there is the moment that change begins. When you are honest with yourself, when you could admit the fear, but also choose to keep going beyond the fears. I want to remind you all that you are not your wounds. You are not the version of yourself that had to survive. They're dead. You are absolutely worthy of calm and peace. You are worthy of people not preying on what you are experiencing or have experienced. You are worthy of people treating you with kindness and empathy and respect. You are worthy of environments that pour into you and lift you up. You are worthy of freedom mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially. You are worthy of that freedom. You are worthy of emotional safety. And even if you are still in the middle of the mess, still trying to figure it out, still within that dark space, you are already healing. And you are already doing all of these things for the simple fact that you have chosen not to give up. You not giving up lets you know that the process has already begun. And nothing can shake that. Nothing can come in between that. Nothing can stand in between the work that you have done and continue to do. So that is our episode. This was incredibly healing for me because I feel like what I've been going through, I've been talking about it with people that I love, but I really wanted to create space on this because I feel like when you are prone to dealing with dark periods in life and battling mental health issues, at some point you get so good with navigating those dark spaces and coming out of them that you really just stop talking about it. You stop vocalizing it and you're just like, I'm just focused on getting through. I'm focusing on the healing aspects of it all. And you don't really vocalize what you're going through, but I think it's important, especially with the platform that I'm creating, it's important for me to get back to that space and to start sharing with y'all. Like, it's not always pretty. It's not always perfection. I am human. I I experience it and I believe that there are things that I will continue to experience and have to overcome and combat when it comes to my mental health, and that is okay. You're going to go through it. And that is okay. That is why we're here together. That is what we have each other for. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And if this video resonated with you, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what does safety look like for me? What would my life feel like and look like if I trusted myself fully? And of course, if you feel like sharing, drop a comment, talk to me. I love hearing from you guys. I love our conversations. I love you all being candid and feeling free to share your experiences and talk through them. Send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter. And yeah, of course, if you feel like this video will resonate with someone that you know or love, please do share with them. Please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, post this somewhere so it can get out there and it can be shared with others because these are really important conversations. And I really want you all to continue to take care of yourself, be gentle with yourselves, be intentional with yourselves in your time and your environment, and love on yourself with so much care and grace. You are enough. I am so incredibly grateful for all of you for continuing to tune in and support me. And of course, I'll see you all in the next Coffee Corner chat. Same time, same vibes, same intentional conversations.